Let's bring in Jason Notte. He is a sports business columnist. He writes primarily for MarketWatch.com. He also freelances, and you might have caught some of his stuff in the New York Times, the Boston Globe, Esquire magazine. Jason, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, sure. So you're following this this Tom Brady situation very, very closely. You wrote an article at MarketWatch.com about the Tom Brady situation, and tell me if I'm correct. In assessing what you wrote, you believe that Tom Brady was guilty of nothing more than not cooperating with the NFL, and he should just be fined? Did I read that correctly? No suspension?
Based on the outcome of the Wells report, based on the hearing that he just had, it is clear to me that he is obstructed here. That much is true. But on the face of things, that is my belief, that he is not cooperated with the NFL, but that the ultimate punishment here should be a fine and a loss of picks for the Patriots and not a punishment to Brady himself.
Jason, is this based on what you're saying? Do you think that if the punishment stands or reduced to 2 games, is that because of the stare down between the commissioner and the quarterback? Is it because the commissioner wants to show that he's in control of the Patriots and his relationship with Robert Kraft is not weighing heavily in this matter? Or do you think it's just the fair thing to do?
Well, Woody, I think you know that this didn't happen in a vacuum. I mean, the commissioner has had a fairly contentious year. He's had a lot to take on in terms of doling out player punishment. He has 3 of his franchises who clearly want to move to Los Angeles right now. He has a lot on the plate, and the way that he is handling this particular incident, I think, is a way for him to kind of stake things down. He's been quietly making other moves. He suspended the television blackouts for the season. He's rescinded the tax exemption for the league. I think he's trying to get into good public graces, and this is big for him. So I think, you know, if it goes down to even 2 games, it comes out as a win for him, but it still smells a little squiffy. It's not quite right.
But Jason, if he does what you're advocating, that he only fines him and doesn't suspend him, isn't the commissioner then declawing or defanging himself? He's the one who laid down the 4-game suspension. Now he's pulling back and saying, okay, no suspension.
Well, here, I mean, if you're the commissioner, and maybe this hasn't weighed upon your mind as of yet, the example that I put forth in the story is what went on with MLB, the stance that MLB took with steroids. And yes, it was good for MLB to adopt a steroid policy. It was good for it to have at least something that resembled a protocol that it could follow, so that it wasn't going from situation to situation, kind of willy-nilly doling out punishment and not enforcing a true standard. However, for an entire generation, the generation that came after me, you've kind of invalidated their experience. You've taken the biggest stars on their stage and just kind of swept them to the side. You have guys that are, I think, Barry Bonds, Clemens, McGuire, Sosa, who aren't going to get into the Hall, who are followed by, you know, a generation that's just coming up now and not paying attention to the game anymore. I think there is it's a cautionary tale for the commissioner. It's a cautionary tale for Goodell.
Is it fair, Jason, to assess what you're saying, that if, in my mind, in the NFL, the much bigger issue in the playoffs was the way the Patriots were finagling with the ineligible receivers against the Ravens? I thought that was more of a deal.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And you notice that's one of the first things that they addressed in the offseason.
Yeah.
There's a rule now in place for that.
So to follow up on that with what you're saying, that would they have been better off saying, okay, we had a quirky kind of situation here that we hadn't dealt with. We had a plan in place. The officials are supposed to weigh the balls. We didn't follow our protocol like we really should have, and we have sealed up what they did in the other game. We're now just going to seal up what we did in this game, because it seems to me in baseball, if this is a fair assessment of what you said, that maybe, and you got me thinking there, that they said after okay, we're going to grandfather those people in, that they were not judged because we didn't have a protocol for steroids, that we'll just accept that Barry Bonds and Clemens, and they all did that, but now moving forward, from this day forward, you can't do this again. That maybe leagues should be handling those situations that develop that way. Would you agree? Or
honestly, and I think it's not only a league thing. I work for a business publication, and in business, you have to do that the same way as well. You can't just go back and retroactively punish people for everything that occurred before and after you change the rule. Here in football, I think it should be the same thing. I think you have the offseason as this time to develop policies, to write down to make addendums to the rule book, and to set things in place for the next season. And yes, I don't know if you have to call it the Patriots rule, if you have to call it the Deflategate rule, fine, but set it in stone. Make sure that it's enforced in every game. Make sure that there are new protocols in place, and make sure, euphemisms aside, that teams aren't touching the balls. You put them in the hands of the officials.
Yeah, it's funny. John Fox told me when he was coach of the Broncos that he didn't have a problem with Deflategate because he said every team was doing it. But then in the offseason one year, they said to the coaches, we don't want you to do this anymore. And he said, we were all doing it. Then the Patriots went, we'll keep doing it. There's no rule other than just, it's like crackback blocking. They said, we don't want you to teach it. But they didn't actually put it in the rule saying it can't exist in the NFL. So some teams, including the Broncos, kept having crackback blocking it. I think you're making such a great point here that I want people to realize that you can't go back and retroactively say, oh, okay, you were using tobacco in 1964, so you can't use it. We're punishing you for what you did when it was legal.
And that's exactly it. And I think if I'm, a younger person now in terms of baseball, and, I would say I'm a young person from St. Louis who grew up really idolizing Mark McGwire. And when he was first caught using Andro, it was kind of hazy. It wasn't, clearly defined that this is a substance that you not only cannot use, but we will punish you for using. And then only later down the line was it determined that that's something that is completely off the table. So how exactly are you drawing me into the sport again? Does that make it right? Am I supposed to, is self-righteousness supposed to be what I'm chasing and not, your sport itself? Is that what I'm supposed to be following?
Jason, you have all those mugs back there. We're going to send you one of our mugs. And if you'll put it up there on the wall with your butterfly collection and your coffee mugs.
Absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely will.
Jason, thanks for your time. Thought-provoking article on marketwatch.com. Where can people find you on Twitter?
They can find me at Nottingham, Notteham as in Mary, at Twitter.
Are you the sheriff of Nottingham?
I am not the sheriff. No, I wish I was. I'm not even the sheriff of my own house, sir.
Yeah, sheriff of Nottingham. He wasn't a good guy, though. Robin Hood was the good guy. But you really give me personally something to think about and something to expand on with what you said today. So I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason.
Well, thank you both for having me on today. It's been great. Jason
Notte of MarketWatch.com. All I guess brought to you by Papa John's, the official sponsor of the Colorado Rockies baseball team. The day after every Rockies win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at papajohns.com. So go to papajohns.com, order your pizza, and make sure you use the promo code ROXWIN, ROXWIN.